Hardcore World of Warcraft is a sadistic experience.
But I like it.
If you're here, then you've been bitten by the bug too, and you want to play Hardcore World of Warcraft on the Turtle WoW servers, but you don't want to die. So here are 12 tips and tricks to not die in the Turtle WoW servers. So you want to play hardcore on the Turtle WoW servers. It's fun. I highly recommend it. But you don't want to die.
I know the feeling.
So here are some general guidelines on some incredibly deadly characters across the world. Some tips on how to avoid them or deal with them, and some guidelines on things to watch out for. Before we get too far, one of the biggest differences between Turtle WoW hardcore and retail hardcore is falling damage and PvP. In retail hardcore, falling damage is the #2 killer across all characters, with PvP being #3. In Turtle hardcore, it's almost impossible to die from falling damage. While I've been unable to find a direct statement from the Turtle WoW creators themselves, it seems like the consensus is that fall damage has been turned off because of the bugginess of classic WoW. There's sometimes where you're on a Zeppelin, for example, and you suddenly phase out, or the server goes down while you were on a Griffin and you log back in just to fall from the sky. I think we've probably all seen videos of people getting onto the elevator at Undercity or Nomergan and just falling through the map to their death. And they've apparently just gotten rid of fall damage entirely so that we don't die to bugs like that, which I actually think is amazing. And for PvP, there is no Makura in Turtle WoW, and unless you activate the War Mode glyph or attack another player, you should never die to PvP. The War Mode glyph is another optional glyph you can activate at the beginning of your character, which will permanently flag you for PvP. In exchange, it gives you 30% additional experience, but it's going to increase your chances of dying 10, 20, 30, 40-fold. I don't even know, but you're way more likely to die if you activate this. If you're looking to stay alive, don't do War Mode. And I want to remind you that more than half of the characters in Hardcore Classic WoW died by level 14. So we're going to be focusing on a lot of these early mobs that are going to end your run before it even begins. Without further ado, let's get into the list at number 12. At number 12, we have probably the worst way to die in hardcore, the Vier Elixir. Now, everything else on this list is going to be focused on early leveling sections, but I gotta get this out there. If you are playing hardcore, do not drink the elixir. I repeat, do not drink the elixir. It will straight kill you. It will absolutely kill you. One of the big reasons I need to point this out is that I know that in the retail servers, they've made it now that the Vier Elixir no longer kills hardcore characters, but this is not true in Turtle WoW. Okay, the Vier Elixir is part of a quest chain that starts with a quest called the Vier Elixir. During part 2 of this quest chain, you are going to do a quest called Meet at the Grave, which asks you to go to a graveyard outside Gadgetstan and use the Vier Elixir. This will instantly kill you. And you would think that every hardcore player in the world would know about this. It's become a joke at this point. You've made it into the 50s if you've gotten to this quest. So the quest dialogue says, this elixir will allow you to speak with one that you would not normally even see. Take the elixir along with the sword to the graveyard just outside Gadgetstan. Once there, drink the potion. You may be quite surprised at the results, but do not be alarmed. In your quote, other form, head due north until you reach the mountains. So they don't outwardly tell you that you're going to die. They just kind of allude to it. So that is the only dialogue that's in game. So just be known, if you make it into the 50s on your character in Classic WoW, do not drink the Vier Elixir. At number 11, if you are leveling an orc or a troll, watch out for Gazooz and his Voidwalker minion. They're in Skull Rock in northern Durotar, right by Orgrimmar. And believe it or not, this Voidwalker is the #1 killer of all orcs and trolls in Classic WoW Hardcore. This cave has a bunch of the standard perils that caves have for hardcore characters. It's hard to see around corners, tight quarters, bad respawns, and a lot of things like this make it easy to die inside this cave. Not to mention, so many of the mobs in this cave have these pet Voidwalker minions. Pro tip, you can dance around this pillar a bit by Gazoos to try to lure Gazoos around and make him unable to cast spells at you while you deal with his Voidwalker minion. If you're a melee class, this is going to be really hard to do until you get to like level 14 or so. And according to Blizzard's statistics on World of Warcraft Hardcore Classic, this Voidwalker minion is the second deadliest minion in the entire game. So if you're headed into Skull Rock, do it with extreme caution. At number 10, it's the young Wetlands Crocolisk of the Wetlands. Now, if you look at the heat map for the Wetlands of all the deaths here, you're going to notice something a little interesting here. This map has deaths happening on the road, and that's because characters who are underleveled for this area are coming into this area and thinking they can just walk through. Let me be very clear here. The Crocolisks walk out onto the road. So if you're a low-level character, you should avoid the Wetlands entirely until you're of level. Look at the curve here. You have people dying before level 10 in this area, while you have easily level 20 plus level mobs here. So if you're a low-level character, avoid the Wetlands entirely. Do not go. Walking on the roads here is dangerous and can kill you. At number 9, we have Lord Melanous. Melanous is in a cave and is part of the Twisted Hatred questline. Now, if you're a Night Elf character, you're probably going to get to this quest around level 7 or so. Inside this cave, it is filled with grells, and this area alone can be a bit tricky. But if you get up to Lord Melanous, this guy can hit like a truck. He's level 8, so he's going to be quite a bit stronger than the level 5 and 6 grells you've been fighting along the way. If you take a look at the heat map of Teldrassil, you can see Lord Melanous is responsible for more than double the amount of kills of anything else in Teldrassil. So if you're going into this cave, be careful, and I would say don't fight him until you're level 9 probably, and make sure you're clearing out all the grells you can. When fighting this guy, he's got a cat form that hits pretty strong, and you'll probably have 2 additional mobs on you while you're fighting him. So be careful if you're a Night Elf and you're gonna fight Lord Melanous. Number 8, we have the Son of Arugal. The Sons of Arugal are elite level Worgen mobs that patrol around Silverpine Forest. If you're an undead character, you're probably going to be questing around in this region, and these guys hit like a truck. They have almost 3,000 health, and if they catch you off in the forest while you're underleveled, you are as good as dead. Worse yet, they have an ability called Arugal's Gift, which will do 175 to 225 shadow damage every 60 seconds for 5 minutes. So that means even if you beat this guy or get away, if you have this on you, you are at risk of taking a sudden burst of damage right after you kill him. So if you're an undead in Silverpine Forest, watch out for the Sons of Arugal because they will kick the shit out of you. At number 7, we have the Dark Iron Agent, and specifically the Dark Iron Landmine. If you're doing Gnomergen, well, maybe you should just not. Gnomergen is a bit of a scary place. These Dark Iron Agents are deadly. In fact, the Dark Iron Landmines that the Dark Agents drop are the deadliest dungeon mob in Classic WoW. The Dark Iron Agent drops these landmines and they explode for a big amount of damage in an AoE around them. You can kill the landmines, and you should kill the landmines. You should also be focusing these guys down before they can drop too many. If they swap aggro, get to your back line, drop these landmines, you gotta keep moving. They can be very difficult to control, and they can be incredibly deadly. These guys drop too many landmines, get the hell out of there. Coming in at number 6, we have the Dust Devils and the Defas Trappers. In Westfall, it is filled with beasts and Defas, as well as some murderous scarecrow machines. And these characters are going to range from like level 10 to 11 up to level 16, 17 on average. But then you have the Dust Devils. They range from level 18 to 19, and they are kind of just randomly placed around the map. They can be hiding over a cliffside, they can be wherever you didn't expect them to be. And if these guys get on you, they can be incredibly tough to kill. Worth mentioning is there is a chance that these guys drop an item called Magic Dust. This thing is incredibly powerful, lets you put an enemy to sleep for up to 30 seconds on command, and there are people that farm these cyclones for this specific item. With that being said, if you are underleveled, I would say completely avoid these unbound cyclones. Next, let's talk about the Defas. And while the Defas Trapper is more deadly because of its ability to stun you with a net,
a tiny net is a death sentence. It's a net and it's tiny.
between the Defas Trapper and the Defas Pillager, they have more kills than anything else on this map. The Defas Trapper and the Defas Pillager are the second and third biggest killers of Alliance characters. They can be found in different parts of the map, but they are specifically in Moonbrook, and this is one of the deadliest parts of Westfall. It's easy to accidentally pull mobs you can't see around corners or from neighboring buildings. There are sometimes mobs behind buildings that will get pulled, or people running out from places you didn't see. Going into Moonbrook should be done very carefully. You should not be doing this if you're underleveled. The Defas often stick together in camps and should be approached with some caution. So, when you're questing in Westfall, don't underestimate these guys. At number 5, we have the Night Elf Patrol and the Baron's Bugs. Now, let me be upfront about this. The Night Elf Patrol and the Baron's Bugs are not the deadliest creatures of the Barrens. But the deadliest creatures of the Barrens don't really stand out that far over another. You kind of just need to be careful in the Barrens in general. But these two creatures in particular killed two of my personal hardcore characters. My first hardcore character was an orc hunter who died to the Swarmers doing a mission in the Southern Barrens. There's a quest in the Southern Barrens called Egg Hunt. They ask you to collect 12 Silithid eggs using a digging claw and bring it back to the crossroads. Seems simple enough. But when you go to do this, you click on these mounts and it summons these Swarmers. The Swarmers create little bugs, and if you don't deal with them fast enough, more little bugs show up. Also, some of these bugs drop eggs, and if you don't kill the eggs, they drop additional little bugs. These guys can be tough to see, tough to click, and if you do not have an AoE ability to take them out quickly, they can get a lot of damage on you. Next, there's a Night Elf Patrol in the Southern Barrens. These are 4 elite-level Alliance NPCs named Marcus Bell, Hannah Bladeleaf, Thora Feathermoon, and Aeon Swiftriver. These guys patrol the southern area of the Barrens up and down the main road. For this reason, you gotta be careful going AFK in the Southern Barrens. They will just walk by and instantly kill you. My hardcore shaman, sadly, was just walking down the road while I was looking at my other monitor when these guys swooped in and one-shot me. No, I don't have any footage, sadly. So while no, these are not the deadliest characters in the Barrens, this is my personal warning to you: do not do Egg Hunt. And watch out for the elites in the Southern Barrens. At number 4, we have some Duskwood Mobs with Stitches and Morladim. Stitches patrols up and down the road in southern Duskwood, going from the graveyard to Darkshire. And when he gets to Darkshire, he'll come into the town and fight the town guard. And as long as you don't intervene, he shouldn't kill you. As he approaches the town, he will announce, "Darkshire, I hunger!" And you can know when he's dead. You'll see a message pop up in general chat that says the beast has been slain. As of June 18th, Turtle WoW has made it that Stitches will aggro at a smaller range, which is great because I've seen him run to the north of the graveyard and attack me while I was fighting another elite. That was friggin' scary. It's for this reason that when I'm questing in Duskwood, I almost never take that main road. I do sometimes. Of course, there's a lot of quest chains that take you down there, but at the beginning, if you just started questing in Duskwood, stay up in those woods. You need to get to the graveyard, just go past the spiders and the wolves. Stitches has over 20,000 health, so you have really no chance of fighting this guy. You just have to avoid him. Morladim, on the other hand, patrols a smaller area, but an area where there are a lot of quests. In the Ravenhill Graveyard in western Duskwood, if you're questing in this graveyard, specifically the northern or northwestern area of the graveyard, you have to keep one eye to the side at all times. Do not let your guard down. This guy will find you and he will fuck you up. At At number 3, and I can't believe I actually have to say this, don't drown. Don't drown. You need to breathe, okay? Somehow drowning is actually one of the biggest causes of death for hardcore characters in Classic WoW. According to Blizzard's records, it is the 8th most common way to die. Now, I think this is because it's just kind of a universal thing that can happen anywhere. Somebody can go AFK. Sometimes glitchy stuff happens with drowning.
Oh my god, fuck my life, dude.
Just to give you a little information on drowning to help you not drown, you have 3 minutes of breath. And yes, there are a lot of quests that ask you to go underwater, but you have 3 minutes. After that, you take about 20% of your health every second. What I think is a good idea is that every time you go underwater, play that Sonic music that sounds like, you bing, 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 bing. Yeah, that's it. It just stresses you out, and it really makes you feel like you gotta get back up there. So do that. Don't drown, okay? At number 2, we have the Yetis of Dunmurrow. First off, there are 2 elite Yetis in the Dunmurrow area. The first is named Vagash. Vagash is a level 11 elite Yeti with 666 health, making him
The devil incarnate.
Vagash is the elite Yeti you have to fight when doing the quest Protecting the Herd. He's just north of the Golbalar Quarry, and easily avoidable if you're not going to do this quest. And I suggest, unless you have a group, avoid Vagash at all costs. Then there's Old Icebeard. In Turtle WoW, there is a quest to kill Old Icebeard called the Terror of Chill Breeze. It's an elite level quest, but the quest giver, Tundra Magran, also gives you another quest, Tundra Magran's Stolen Stash. And that quest is not labeled as elite because you don't actually have to kill Old Icebeard. You just have to sneak into his cave and open a chest there. But because it's not marked as elite, you might not realize this chest is protected by an elite mob. And Old Icebeard patrols right outside. So if you're gonna go in, make sure Old Icebeard isn't around, or you might end up like this dwarf who's being chased down by Old Icebeard right here. So be careful about doing Tundra Magran's Stolen Stash. Beyond the elite Yetis, the standard Wendigo are the target of a quest called the Grizzled Den, where you have to collect 8 Wendigo mains. In fact, it is the most dangerous place in Dunmurrow by a small margin, only narrowly beating out the Rockjaw Bone Snappers of the Goldbar Quarry. And the Wendigo, according to Blizzard, is the 3rd deadliest mob in Hardcore Classic. Both of these sections are deep caves that have many tombstones of level 10 characters in them. So when going into these cave structures, be careful. Be wary of the Wendigo and be wary of the Rockjaws. And at number 1, the biggest killer of Hardcore Classic WoW characters, the Cobalt Miner. I know, the lowly candle guy.
You know, take candle.
Yes, I'm gonna take your friggin' candle. He is the deadliest mob in all of Classic WoW. Look at the heat map for Elwyn Forest. That is all the Cobalt Miner. More than Hogger, more than the Riverpaw Outrunners, it is this first cave that kills so many people. Now the lesson really is about caves. Caves are deadly for hardcore characters in general. Sometimes it's easy to get trapped, pull mobs that maybe you didn't see. I talked about it a bunch in my Catmandu video over here, but going into caves is risky. The Cobalt Miner is the deadliest mob in all of WoW, and they should not be underestimated. The one thing I want to say that's interesting about this is I'm pulling stats from multiple sources, and sometimes they disagree with each other. For example, Blizzard says that the Voidwalker minion is the 2nd deadliest mob, but I found statistics saying that the Defas Trapper are the 2nd deadliest. But some of these stats are kind of weirdly skewed because it seems to be that more hardcore characters are made on the Alliance than on the Horde. But the one thing they all agree on is the Cobalt Miner is by far the single deadliest minion in all of Hardcore WoW. Respect the candle! Alright guys, thank you so much for watching. If you have never played on the Turtle WoW server, I highly recommend it. They really have dealt with so many great things here. Another thing that, I'm not sure if the other Classic WoW server did this, but the pet pathing is so improved in Turtle. I do not worry about my pets really at all, which maybe I should. So anyway, thank you guys again. Hit the buttons, doobity boobity, doop boop boobity. blah, 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 blah. I want to say thank you to TechNode for doing all this stat collection. Without him, a lot of this would have been a lot less interesting. I want to say thank you to all the people that made clips that I used in this video. I hope you don't mind. I credited you all. And thank you to Shokisan, my buddy, one of my oldest friends, for acting in this video. And you'll see him in it quite a bit. I'm going to put a link to Shokisan's channel in the description here. Make sure to check out his videos as well. Thank you all.